national radio stations come in. We're here to help you connect with the qualified candidates you need. Check out IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. It's part of our comprehensive radio and internet employment campaign designed to get your job openings noticed. For details, just reach out to your account manager. Put the power of radio and the internet to work for you at IllinoisJobPost.com.
WTIM. You're listening to the WTIM Pana Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, along with Pizza Man, Noren's Hardware, Bob Riding's Pana, and Okanee Chop Shop. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and school has started in Nokomis, as with a lot of places, and Nokomis actually started earlier this week, and so now's a good time to check in with Superintendent Dr. Scott Doerr, who is our guest in this part of the show. Dr. Doerr, good morning to you.
Good morning, Reed. How are we doing today?
Yeah, doing just fine here. Nice. I'd say a pretty smooth and more temperate Tuesday than we've had for some time. So happy about that, and it's good to talk to you as well. And it sounds like we're tag teaming this morning with Juletta Ellis, who is the, as I'm putting it, the superintendent-elect of Nokomis Schools, who's going to be succeeding you. And if I remember correctly, she's going to be shadowing you this academic year. Is that correct?
That is correct. So, yep. I would retire on June 30th, and so we had decided about a year ago to do something a little bit different in the transition process. And the Board of Education has hired Mrs. Ellis. Her official title is District Administrator this year. But yeah, we'll be working side by side. And learning the process of this position, and learning the names and faces of people, and all the paperwork and the curriculum, and going from A to Z. And then on July 1st, it'll be all hers.
All right. So that transition is well, in its process as you've described. Is that typically how superintendent handovers work at that sort of level?
No, really, it's not very common at all in the past. However, I've heard, about a dozen districts are doing that this year. From the Quad Cities down to Effingham, I've heard of boards making this decision by bringing in the successor early, because, this job changes, with all the state rules and regulations, with school finance and curriculum in smaller districts like we have here in Nokomis. The superintendent wears many hats. So learning all those hats is a chore. And, the board thought it was a good idea. I've been here now 18 years, and the institutional knowledge alone is going to be, very helpful in that transition process.
Sounds like it indeed. So you have that process going on, it sounds like, through this year. I want to focus a little more on the present day. So today is your second day of school, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Second day. How's it been going so far?
So far, so good. We got them all here yesterday. We got them home yesterday afternoon. So that's a plus. Day two is going without a hitch right now. Just had the principals in here for a briefing before this call, and seems all is going well. So we're gonna trot right along and get this school year going.
Any notable changes that you've kind of noticed in the first day and change compared to last year and that first day and change?
Well, we have a lot of changes at the senior high school, mostly because we have two new administrators in that building. The principal is new, although she is not new to the district. She's new to her role. And then the assistant principal athletic director is also not new to the district, but new to that role. So we are seeing a lot of transition taking place at the junior senior high school, and I think that's always going to be a work in progress, but also a positive move forward for our faculty, staff, and students. And so it takes, it always takes the first week or so to get all the bugs worked out of the system and get everybody set into a routine. And then I think everything will be fine, and we'll move forward, and I think we'll do and see great things come out of this school year.
Debugging is certainly part of the process indeed, and in your position, I'm sure. So that's another change that I know has happened, because you and I were talking about this before we got on, and I know it's been part of the discussions when you've been on with me before. I know you were doing a big construction project in your schools over the summer. Sounds like that's done. Talk a little bit about how that went in the end, and what it's like now.
Yeah, so I would say it's about 99.8% done. Um, we finished up last week. We completed a $5 million renovation project at both buildings. Most of that taking place at the elementary school, where we renovated about 10 classrooms, put in some more air conditioning for other classrooms, and then over at the high school. We did renovate the two science labs, did some work in the ag shops, reworked the old gym, or the junior high gym, as it's known, as well as senior hallway. And so, it's all fresh and new and looks great. The crews worked hard and sometimes around the clock, especially the last 2 or 3 weeks of August here, to get things ready to move in, and it took a crew to move everybody back in. We had 4 trailer truck pods full of furniture and books and all kinds of supplies and materials that had to be moved back into the classrooms and into the buildings. So it's been an ongoing renovation project this summer. Like I said, we're almost done. I think they're finishing up a few small details this week, but I think the kids are enjoying it. The teachers and staff are definitely enjoying the renovated spaces, and it was well worth the process.
All right, so yeah, big update there with the construction. Now, I know that project that you folks had planned on for some time was going on in tandem with some repair work you were doing after some severe weather that came through the area earlier in the year. Where are you folks at with that?
So yeah, there was 3 main parts to the storm damage. The football scoreboard was taken down. It was replaced and was up in time for the first football game last Friday night. And then we had the main gym roof that was damaged. It is still temporarily repaired. We're waiting on metal and materials to get here this month. And then the auxiliary gym, or the junior high gym, it's about 95% done. They're just waiting on a few things to get that finished up, but it's the new roof is on that gym already. So yeah, cleanup obviously happened in the spring, and I suspect everything should be completed by my hope is by October, before winter gets here.
All right, and I bet that new scoreboard you were talking about looks a little bit better with a winning score line on it too. Would you agree?
Definitely did. We had a good game Friday night against Arcola, and the boys hustled and played their hearts out. Of course, we have a whole new coaching staff for the football team this year, and they really look like they worked together and put together a strong team, and so we'll look forward to another week coming up here soon.
I love that. Dr. Scott Doerr, Superintendent of Nokomis Schools. He's our guest in this part of the show. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more and hopefully hear from his will-be successor, Juletta Ellis, who will be taking over at Nokomis Schools. That'll be right here on the WTIM Pana Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn higher, beans higher, wheat slightly lower. September corn up 3 1/4, 4.94 3/4. December corn up 2 1/4, 5.17 3/4. March corn 5.32 1/2, up 2 1/4. September beans up 2 3/4, 12.18 3/4. November beans up 2 1/2, 12.26 3/4. January beans 12.41, up 2 3/4. September Chicago wheat 6.81, down 3/4. September KC wheat, 7.45, down 5 1/2. September bean meal up $1, 321.30. September bean oil down 75 cents, 66.38. Livestock trade, August feeders down $1.05, 219.02. October lean hogs, 80.67, down 45 cents. October live cattle, 212.55, down $1.10. Energy market, October Brent crude oil, 89.33, down 284. RFD Radio Network.
Hi, this is Julie Sanchez with People's Bank and Trust. Hola, mi nombre es Julie Sanchez con People's Bank and Trust, and I am here to share information about our Save by Spending program. Save by Spending, round up, where we round your debit card purchase to the next dollar and put that change in your savings account. Also, our Save by Spending rewards program. You can earn cash back on all qualifying signature-based debit card purchases. Call 888-PBT-1954 and learn more about Save by Spending programs. At People's Bank and Trust, we put you and your savings first. People's Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Looking for the best deal on your next vehicle? Start at Landmark of Taylorville. Right now, get Employee Pricing Plus on select new Chevy, Buick, and GMC models. That's Employee Pricing Plus, all applicable rebates and incentives for even bigger savings. Shop the latest new models or hundreds of quality pre-owned vehicles for every budget. Plus, every qualifying vehicle includes our lifetime powertrain warranty. Stop by Landmark of Taylorville today and see why you always do better at Landmark.
You always do better at Landmark.
Double your impact with sight and sound. Reach customers through our 6 regional radio stations. Plus, capture their attention with our 36 by 72-inch digital billboard right on Route 29 in Taylorville. That's nearly 11,000 drivers seeing your message every single day while they're already listening to your radio ads. Ready to maximize your reach? Call your regional radio account manager today and put your business in front of eyes and ears across Central Illinois. Regional radio is where your message gets noticed.
If you're 40 and over, you'll recognize these artists by their first names. Frank, Dean, Sammy, Andy, Nat, Diana, Michael. Well, here's the big news. You can now hear Central Illinois' largest music library with over 3,500 songs on air and online at 965thechill.com. Tune in on the FM dial in Christian County and on your computer or smartphone. Hear these great artists and many more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 965thechill.com.
WTIM.
We're back on the WTIM Pana Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, along with Pizza Man, Noren's Hardware, Bob Riding's Pana, and Okanee Chop Shop. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and I've been speaking with Dr. Scott Doerr, Superintendent of Nokomis Schools. Well, I'd like to welcome in now his successor, who will be beginning this coming summer and taking over fully as the superintendent of Nokomis Schools and is shadowing for this academic year, Juletta Ellis. Juletta, welcome to the WTIM Pana Morning Show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you on and good to hear from you for the first time. I know it was announced a good few months ago that you were going to be eventually taking over. Now we finally get to hear your voice. So to start things off, first, I'd just love if you could give some background about yourself and your educational work for our listeners.
Sure. So this begins year 26 in education for me. I started off in the Staunton School District as a middle school language arts teacher, where I spent about 13 years in the classroom, and then spent my last 2 years in Staunton as the assistant principal of pre-K through 8. I moved on to Pana Junior High as the junior high principal there. made a switch over to Litchfield as a high school principal. And then my most recent position was as the director of SCI, which is the Career Center, serving 9 school districts throughout Macoupin and Montgomery counties.
All right. So it sounds like kind of a nice little step from one thing to the next, and then something that eventually led you to Nokomis schools. I know the opening sounded like it came up at some point, and what inspired you to kind of go for becoming superintendent of Nokomis schools?
So I had been told by a mentor of mine that I should seek a superintendency. It wasn't necessarily on my list of things to do, but I did go back to school and pursue that. Sat on it for a little bit, just waiting for the right opportunity. It is a huge step. It can seem a little daunting. So when I heard about Nokomis and their plan to have a transitional period, I just thought that was a really unique situation that would help me grow and learn and help to support any endeavors that I had and really help this district to maintain steadiness and be good for staff and students in the community. And so I decided to take a leap, and here I am.
Yeah, and Dr. Doerr and I were talking in the first segment. Sounds like it's actually quite unusual to have a transitional period that's this long. Is that what you had kind of found or had thought before finding out about this?
I would say that I had never really heard of it, other than there are some situations near us in which there were some interim superintendents who helped out a district administrator, but not necessarily for a full year. And I think that the superintendency obviously is a very difficult position. There's a lot of things to know. As Dr. Doerr said, there's a lot of hats to wear, especially as a small district superintendent. And, I really think that this is a model that would help to lead to the success of new superintendents. And so I'm excited to hear that more districts are on board with that model, because in the end, that really helps to support the district and the students that we serve.
All right, and that's something else. Yeah, as you probably heard Dr. Doerr mention, sounds like there's a lot of turnover in terms of superintendents in the area. So now, in terms of you being at Nokomis, just talk a little bit about some of the initiatives you're maybe going for, some goals that you perhaps have for Nokomis schools in your time there.
Sure. So I started here officially July 1, and I think my main objective is really just to take advantage of the situation and learn as much as I can and start to build those connections and those relationships that will help to propel us forward. I am familiar with some of the students, since some of the students here attended SCI. So that was kind of a nice segue into knowing the Nokomis community, being visible, getting out and talking with people and learning about what is important for them, and helping that to shape our vision moving forward, and just asking a lot of questions and just soaking up as much information as I can.
Yeah, it sounds like there certainly is a lot of information and all of that to soak in, especially at the start. You've had one day and change now so far, at least in terms of classes happening. And how is that gone for you now with students in classrooms?
I actually sent a text after we started yesterday to a friend, and I said, gosh, it's just kind of a sigh of relief when you finally get students back in the building. And so I think that's one of the most exciting parts. I started my day out yesterday at North Elementary, welcoming in all of the littles, and that's always exciting to see the excitement on their face. Spent some time welcoming students this morning. So, they're the reason that we're here. And so that's one of the best parts, is seeing them come back to school and ready to learn.
We have just about a minute to go. Talk about how, relationships have been, with principals, even with some teachers. How has that gone so far for you?
Well, as Dr. Doerr mentioned, we do have 2 new principals, and I think that that's exciting. They have a lot of fire in their bellies, and they've been working really hard to kind of begin building their vision for what the school will look like. We also have, a seasoned administrator at North, and so just getting together with the team, meeting and seeing how we all can work together. I feel like we have have started to build a really good working relationship. And I think it's going to be great to see what we can all do together.
And that's Juletta Ellis, the forthcoming superintendent of Nokomis Schools, who is shadowing this academic year under Dr. Scott Doerr, the current superintendent of Nokomis Schools. Thank you both so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. You as well. And thank you for listening here on the WTIM Pana Morning Show on your information station. And we'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville. 96.1 FM Taylorville. 107.5